So today, I will be talking, my panelists will be talking about how technology has affected our lifestyles in the past few years and what they think the future will look like. My first panelist is Debo Odulano. Debo Odulano is the CEO of Doctora eHealth. Debo is the founder and CEO of Doctora eHealth Limited and Doctora Consulting, where he leads performance improvement service stream. Debo is a medical doctor and healthcare management consultant with experience in clinical service delivery, healthcare operations management, marketing, strategic planning, performance improvement, and innovation management. His main careers from the Middle East, England, and Africa. Debo is an alumnus of University of Sharjah in the UAE, where he earned his Bachelor of Science and Surgery. Bachelor of Medicine, and Surgery. He holds a postgraduate degree in health management from Imperial College of Business, and Debo is passionate about African development and wants to make positive contributions to improving healthcare delivery in Nigeria. Next panelist is Edward Kukuola. Edward Kukuola is a co-founder and the Chief Technology Officer of Cowrywise. Cowrywise is a fintech startup that provides savings and wealth management services to Africans irrespective of their income level. Edward Kukuola has a mission to empower customers with necessary tools to take care and control their finances. Cowrywise helps to make savings and investments seamless. It takes away the stress and planning required to save and invest on a regular basis through its automated and easy-to-use platform. Prior to Cowrywise, Edward was in the telecoms industry, deploying telecoms infrastructure across Africa. He worked at African Advanced Telecoms West Africa as a team lead infrastructure and support and integration. Damilola is the CEO and co-founder of ScholarX. ScholarX is an education financing company that was started due to the concerns for the state of education in Africa. CTO at Max Energy. Max Energy is a technology company that is building the infrastructure for the last mile mobility in Africa. Chinedu has always had a passion to change the African enterprise. His startup Max is on a mission to make 2 and 3 billion mobility safe, accessible and affordable to 1 billion Africans. And the last but not least is Falake Alimumuni. Falake Alimumuni is the head marketing and corporate communications for FirstBank Group, and she has the oversight for the same function for the LBN holdings and subsidiaries. Falake serves as the chairman of the board of directors of insurance brokers. She has a career spanning over 24 years across diverse industries and sectors such as banking, aviation, manufacturing, oil and gas, and business class. Start by looking at transportation, which is one of the big problems in the Nigerian society. How do not people like us really get from one point to the other? And in the past few years, we've seen the advent of having transportation on demand, which is really a key solution to how people live their lives, providing convenience. Unlike before, as I said, we used to go out on the road to look for taxis. Before, if you were going to get an Okada as well, you really had to go and wait and hope that you will get one. But since the advent of Uber, and then of course local adapters like Max Energy, we've seen that you can actually work on demanding for when you need a ride. If you also look at the health sector, if you look at the latest data from the World Health Organization, that the ratio to physician to patient ratio is about 4 doctors per 10,000 patients, whereas the recommended one is going to be 10 doctors per 10,000 patients. We know some of the things that technology has been able to do, where we're also having things on demand. And really, it's really about being able to provide the service when needed to the users. Same thing in health, same thing in education. We see a lot of students that have potential, but they're not able to fund these, they're not able to fund their aspiration. And we've seen a lot of international and global organizations starting to match this sort of students with funds. We also have local adapters like ScholarX that is doing that in Nigeria. Customer engagement also is changing across the world, and particularly in the Nigerian space. I do a lot around trying to talk to customers about things, and I've seen that in the past few years, how we engage customers has really changed. Customers are taking the terms of engagement unlike before. I'll start with my first question, and this is directed to Debo. We know that medical health today is not cheap in Nigeria, and access to proper health care is also a problem. Are you of the opinion that new financial technologies will or may help the healthcare sector introduce medical loans and or maintain payments to providers that are using the Fintech capabilities?
Thank you very much for that question. So it's a big question really to ask, and I think I'll just like to paint some context to be able to kind of shed light on the question you asked. So it's like, will new banking technologies or services like medical loans create impact and improve access to healthcare? So generally, yes. Now, just to explain why. So if we look at the Nigerian markets when it comes to people who consume healthcare services, I can break them into four very broad groups. The either individuals who don't really spend much in Nigeria and spend over $1.3 billion on medical treatments every year in other countries. So there might be a trickle of blood spending in Nigeria. We have another 2.4 billion-ish market of people spending roughly $120 per year on healthcare. That seems to be what is maybe our middle class or lower class. We have HMO market, which is people who are insured, which is roughly 8% of the total population, being that half of this is insured by the NHIS and the private insurers are the remaining half. And then lastly, people that are spending $6 a year on healthcare, which makes a very big market. But we can see that $6 as well is something that they are not ready to release, because if you compare that $6 to their disposable income, you've technically taken all the money from them. And this is where we have to be innovative, because people need to get healthcare when they need it, not exactly plan for healthcare. So I feel there's a strong market failure in the concept of health insurance in Nigeria, because we cannot achieve that much coverage. And you need to achieve substantial coverage for the health insurance to work. So health insurance is typically like a sort of Robin Hood type of mentality, where we take from the richer people who are less likely to fall sick, and we use that to compensate from the poorer people who are more likely to fall sick and have less to pay. So, it's cross-subsidization basically. And if we're not capturing the rich people who don't think they need health insurance because they are ready to pay out of pocket, and we're capturing a risk pool that is purely low premium paying people with high risks of actually purchasing healthcare, then the insurance system can't work. And that is the main reason why most HMOs now probably just focus on people who have jobs, who the employers are going to pay, have high kind of medium risk potential. So this is the real reason why we need to innovate. So I'll give the example of the medical loans. FirstBank has tried something similar, so we have real case studies to kind of work with. FirstBank realized that we've been doing a lot of last mile logistics of getting blood to people that need the blood when they need it immediately, but then get there and realize that people don't have money to pay for the blood. What they've done is to go and create a sort of fund that would actually pay for the blood. things like that have actually significantly increased their uptake and the amount of deliveries that they're able to do. If we're able to put that into the typical private healthcare system and use that to penetrate those lower income segments of the market where they don't have the money now, but the demand for healthcare is there, I think what we will end up doing is to create more effective demand. And I think it will be nice if we understand that there's a clear difference between demand and effective demand. So demand is there. Everybody wants healthcare. Everyone wants to be able to call the doctor when they need the doctor immediately, but they don't have the money to pay. And for healthcare providers, we really want to provide people services to people who can pay. Minus the notion that everyone kind of feels that healthcare is a social good and you have to give it free to people.
As big as Nigeria is, as big as the market is, as big as all the banks are, only 400,000 people. What happens to the rest of us? You know, the barrier is there. And that is where CarryWise comes in. Now today we are the only platform that has the largest collection of mutual funds in Nigeria. Before now, you would have to walk into an MBN Crest office or the other mutual fund offices, and guess what? They are only in the major cities. And then you walk in, they give you a form to fill, they ask all those about interface, and then you pay them, and then they tell you, after 24 hours, you get credited to your units, your investment units. I even did the same recently with one of the bigger ones, and then I got an email that it's going to be credited, and I'm going to credited in 24 to 48 hours. Now, and guess what? There's also a barrier to that entry. There's always a minimum to mutual fund investment. If you want to do dollar mutual funds, like $10,000 or something, if you want to do the regular money market funds, like 5,000 naira, essentially the barrier has always been there from day one. So you can imagine a situation like, so the question of how many max, riders will be able to afford to invest in Nigerian mutual funds, before, the max's intervention. And what we have done is to reduce the barrier and to provide access to a whole lot more people. Today, you can buy mutual funds on our platform for as low as 100 naira for the Naira mutual funds. And if dollar is your thing, as low as $100. This is the first time ever that is happening in Nigeria. And so that is one, we reduce the barrier to entry. Anybody, irrespective of their income level, could save in bits and pieces, could invest in bits and pieces, towards whatever financial goal, they have. The other one is to reduce the friction. There is this friction in accessing, financial services. And that is why, people typically don't get how things work. Now, a lot of, as an example, the mutual funds come with like 10 to 12 pages of documents. We call it prospectus. And then it's full of financial jargons, things they invest in and stuff. But how many people have time to really, read that? What we have done is to distill this piece of information, to the barest minimum so that you can understand, okay, you can lose your money here, but then you can gain double, right? And here your capital is preserved, and then you can earn a little return. So we are reducing that friction to make sure that more people have access, to these financial products. A lot of them don't even know they exist, but today it's available, and we are reaching as many people as we can all across Nigeria. We have people call us from Kano, from different different places of in Nigeria. Whereas typically they would have had to move to their to the nearest main city. Like a lot of the investment managers in Nigeria, they are in Ikoyi here, But today with our app, people can invest as low as 100 naira, and for the dollar fund as low as $100. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to go back to the discussion or the contribution people made earlier, but I'm not directing the question to you. I want to direct it to everyday human beings like us. And I'd like Fab to talk to us about being a user of medical healthcare as well. And if you can please give us a flip side or view to Dagon's question, where I asked him if he was of the opinion that will the new financial technologies help the healthcare sector introduce medical loans and maintain payments with providers.
Thanks, Tyrone. And I like the fact that you're throwing this to me, not because I'm a practitioner, but because I'm a user of healthcare and the average man on the street as well. The reality is, Debo talks about the Robin Hood mentality. I think one of the things we must always focus on is there's power in numbers. And one of the advantages that we have in this market in particular is the power in the numbers. It's the size of our market, we're talking about that. And if you listen to what Victor said earlier on, he talks about data and the need to really focus on what the data is telling us. Well, that's where I think the solution lies. I think if we do what we've always done, we'll get what we've always gotten. So a lot of our solutions are typically following the same path. Where is the intervention that should happen around looking at some of the more common ailments and the need to look for modular pricing in terms of how you provide, whether it be insurance, whether it be loans to specific ailments. Let's take malaria, for example. If we know, if I wanted to insure my family, if I felt malaria and give me another common ailment was what I should insure them for, surely I should be able to either take a loan for those two things. So I'm talking about us making sure that we follow the data, listen more to and find out exactly where the needs are. Make sure that, yes, those who can afford to provide for themselves through the collective pool cover those who cannot. That really is how it works. The more people who you can sweep into the net, the wider the coverage will be, because it will then drive down the pricing for the others. So there are three things I think we need to do more of. Look at the data from an ailment perspective. Really focus on what the needs are and see if it's possible for us to actually even break that down further. And not just say general healthcare or general cover. Fintechs can help with that. Give me what it is that I think I need as a customer, and I'll be prepared to pay for that. If you're also able to drive the pricing down based on the numbers that you're able to sweep into the net, based on more people signing up for your product, for example, and therefore, in terms of the loans that you partner with the banks to provide, you provide it at better rates. If it's affordable and we can sweep more people into that net, I assure you that I'll be able to then pick up 3 insurance products today, or 3 products today in terms of ailments that I want to cover. Tomorrow I might be able to do more. And you'll find that those who can afford more end up subsidizing those who can't afford as much. For me, the biggest contribution here is let's continue to look at the data we have, let's continue to use the size of our market to the advantage, and that's where that nexus with our lifestyle means that fintechs in the room today will be providing us the solutions that we need.
Thank you very, very much for this talk today. Honestly, I think solving the access to healthcare problem, the access to healthcare problem itself is a wicked problem. And with every wicked problem, the more you go into it, the more problems you find. You really said the most important thing, policy data, right? But the major issue we have in healthcare right now is asymmetry of information. One, we're not gathering enough data. Most of the systems are paper-based. Thankfully, we're migrated, which enables us to glean more data. But if you look at the actuarial projections that most of HMOs use, these are projections of 1999, all those how far back. And even those who have taken the steps forward to try to create new projections are still suffering because of that lack of data. But to go beyond that is positive things. Clearly what you said is probably the way. There's a company called Wella Health that decided to just focus on malaria insurance. And they have the ability to do more. But then, getting malaria insurance about 450 naira a year, a month, or thereabouts, that gives you, treatment, malaria treatment. The max that would happen with malaria treatment is to get admitted, right? So, it's clearly a way to go, but then the major concern now is how do you distribute, which is where a FirstBank will come in. But what I'm I'm trying to highlight here now is the fact that there's a lot of barriers for someone like me who can decide to create, I'm just going to kind of go into what we do and how we do it for a bit, but I can decide to create an antenatal plan of 20,000 naira for people in Okokomaiko or a particular location / income bracket, right? But it's going to be very difficult for me to make much margins out of that if I spend all my money on customer acquisition. And we're looking at this thing as a volume game, right? But everyone seems to, or rather even me included, we have this notion that once you get volumes, you make up for the small margins and all that. It's actually a very difficult journey to get volume, except they're going to investment that already has a volume and they are willing to offer you access to the volume. And that's where the issue is. So, a bit about how we do what we do. We've aggregated spare capacity in existing hospitals. We know that most of the busiest private hospitals in Lagos don't use more than 60% of their capacity. So we have these 30 locations now where our doctors can walk in, rent a room for 20 minutes and see patients. What this allows is that there are more expensive locations on the island, there are probably cheaper locations in Ajegunle. That doctor who would probably spend 1 hour with a very highbrow client in Lekki or Ikoyi and charge maybe 50,000 per consultation can bring that down and spend 5,000 naira per patient, or charge 5,000 naira per patient in Ajegunle because it's paying lower rent there. It would also kind of make decent constraints to say, I'm spending 1 hour with patients in Ikoyi because I need to pamper those guys and they're paying 50,000. Let me go straight to the point and deliver what I need to deliver without any other, blurring or unnecessary. I'll give it at 5 minutes with this patient and 10 minutes with this patient, do what I have to do and get out. So that gives opportunity to kind of execute location-based pricing across the board, but also to glean data from those particular domains for us to, better plan and plug them to things like health, because they probably don't have that. So the issue with, I would say, with startups in the space, trying to solve this healthcare problem is really a distribution problem. And if we can try to see how the banks or even the telcos are very difficult. You go, you tell them, this is what we can do, we can achieve, but then something is already going to go to them. What are you going to do with it? I think banks can do a lot more better than that in terms of trying to provide us access to that platform. And it will be nice to see what sort of developments have come out.
Thank you. So, Daniel will answer question number. They want your responses for thinking about policies, which we'll talk about in the next minutes.
Okay, scholars, what we basically education finance from primary school level to PhD level. So that is what we do. It's our job to ensure that students either go to school or they stay in school. And not just stay in school, but they actually get quality education. Because the money we get are for millennials, work professionals, families, people who actually work hard. And they're saying, oh, I want to do that. I want to start with a small foundation with an endowment. So who do I trust it to manage this and make sure it's actually, let's be honest, Nigeria, we're very, what's the word for it? Smart college. We know how to siphon money, but now they come to us because they know that at the end of the day, we track the students not doing well. I'm sorry, there are 1,000 other students that need this money. Now, to your question, I'll take all the issue. The thing about it is, there's overcrowding. We're a populous nation. When I went to school, I went to Unilag. I can remember I did entrance examination for LASU, I did for Babcock, I did for Covenant University. And that was not because, honestly, my parents could afford it. There are a lot of people that their parents can't afford. If we would say, okay, tech is going to come in and disrupt, oh, don't worry, there's university learning, there's just online e-learning and stuff. But the truth of the matter is, there is no internet capacity yet. And those that need this can't really afford to pay for the data bundles. Very few people can afford 10,000 naira a month that's electronically collect from
people working. And in truth, if you, as a very good student, don't get into federal universities and your parents can't afford, say, to convert or back up, the truth of the matter is, you're going to end up on the streets. If you say, oh, I can do distance learning, after all, now is there, oh, I can just online, get an online, the truth of the matter is, if you don't have access to a laptop, if you say, oh, I can use my phone, after all, I use the new techno phone, it's cutting edge, but in truth, you can't really learn from that. It's a learning experience. That's what most people don't realize. They say, oh, I'm going to school to learn, so that at the end of the day I can get a job. But the learning process is an experience that you have to go through. And yes, there's a lot of things coming up. After all, there are universities in Nigeria. There's a university that now they accept online courses. But the truth of the matter is, their capacity is still very low. As at the last year, when they started, they could only accept 1,000 applicants. And this is because they needed to track public. It's very easy to sit down in front of your laptop and learn, but the truth of the matter is, are you actually learning? Or are you just sitting down there to pass time? After all, if I stay online for an hour, there'll be a timestamp, because that's usually what happens with online learning. There'll be a timestamp to show that, oh, she really did do this course for an hour. And then after the hour, you shut down your laptop and you go to sleep. When it's time to write an exam, even if it's there's a lot of technology, you use your camera to be sure that you're doing the exam. There's so many processes in place. But the truth of the matter is, you can still bypass those processes. And you can bypass it because you don't have the capacity, honestly, to afford to go really learn through these processes. So for Nigeria, yeah, we're still an emerging economy, we say. E-learning, there are a lot of companies that do e-learning, but most of them, they do it for professionals. You want to get your CPIM, you want to get your PMP, because they know that these professionals have gone through the institution, which is the university. And really, that helps. And yeah, so for us, I don't think we're really ready for primary school, let's not even primary school, your university e-learning. We haven't gotten to that point where the students can really gain. It's a wonderful idea, but students can't really learn from that. Because they are barely learning in school. How do you expect them to learn online?
Thank you, Dr. So that brings us to your answer clearly shows that we still have to make and build the schools. So I would like us to talk about policies. I know this is not the session policy, but policies guide anything or any contribution you want to make in the lifestyle space. So for each of you, I think I would like Damilola and Chidi to take that question, and we have a bit of time then the other panelists as well. What sort of intervention or policies do you think the government should make to help the interventions that you're employing or the possibilities that you see in your space?
Thank you for the question. Can you guys hear me? Did you hear the question? Who's on that question? Did you hear the question? So it's a question of what kind of policies can government put in place to empower businesses like all of us. I think the regulation forcing banks to maintain specific lending to the industry is a fantastic thing. Banks should actually pay penalties if you don't invest in businesses. Because Nigeria, like I said, is a very poor country. Pushing corruption is a waste of time. The economy needs to be expanded, and to expand the economy, you have to invest in businesses that are driving growth. So typically growth capital. I think it's sinful, and most of the businesses that are significantly growing in the country today are funded by international investors. And the key reason why is because the banks will run the vanilla banking system that requires, for example, that as a business you should be profitable to be able to get a loan from the bank. It makes absolutely no sense. Because typically, for businesses growing, you have to invest in capacity to essentially be operationally stable, which means your front-loading costs
means that businesses will tend to want to loss for a period of time. And then what the bank is supposed to be able to do is look at this and say, from a cash flow standpoint, does the business have positive cash flows? And essentially be able to make investments based off of that. But, so from a policy standpoint, government needs to force banks and actually charge penalties for not investing in businesses because the banks play a critical role in economic growth. A key thing as well, so different, I don't know if people know this, but Nigeria as a country does not have one law at the federal level that has anything to do with Okadas. As far as the federal government is concerned, Okadas don't exist as a means of transport. It's a little silly because about 65% of the country goes around motorcycles, almost exclusively, especially as you're away from cities like Lagos. Right? So looking at that and not acknowledging that is ridiculous. Now, if you look at a state like Lagos, the unions in Lagos, for example, collected from Okada riders, Okada drivers, bus drivers, taxi drivers, UK drivers, the equivalent of 3/4 of Lagos's IGR in the year 2018. That money is not taxed. There's no tax implication for that. And there's a lot of talk about how unions, for example, collect tax from companies. Absolutely right, completely yes. Because the local governments still go out and charge Okada riders tax, and charge bus drivers tax, and charge taxi drivers tax, and charge everybody else who feels like putting in account with tax. So what you have is a group of people who essentially run a mafia, kind of like Chicago in the 50s, where you have a Capone and Co, where they threaten you that they will scatter your stock or break your leg, or in this case, kill you as a driver if you don't pay them money, right? And you pay them money so that you don't get killed. So it's a protection racket, it's a scam essentially. But because a lot of our political class also leverages people like unions to be able to get work done, run institutions, elections, all sorts of different things. You have a situation where nothing is done about things like that. And so you have an entire population of Lagos, about 600,000 Okada riders exist in Lagos. If you expand to bus drivers and co, you're looking at over 1 million people. You have about 1 million people who are being extorted by the unions, right? Who are backed by the government because the government has effectively tight. So driving policies that essentially that capture taxation around transportation will be critical. Like I keep saying, Nigeria is what? A poor country. So we don't actually have the capacity. People talk about trains and helicopter, we don't have the money for that, right? The train that they built that goes between Abuja and Kaduna today, where between the airports, or at least have to go from one airport to the next, they fly a helicopter, an armed helicopter over the train because the roads are so safe. And people now attack those trains. So they fly armed helicopters it's insane, right? But being able to put in policy that properly provides security in transportation, properly provides, clearly captures taxation in transportation, and clearly forces particular sectors to drive that growth and economic growth and investment will make a massive difference in that space, right? And there will actually be penalties of I think those things will be super grateful.
Yes. So, education in Nigeria is quite dicey. Yes, I am the product of your federal government college, your federal government university. The only private education I had was the primary level. Now, I would say I'm a success. After all, I'm sitting down here, I'm talking, and I can communicate properly. Now, let's be honest, that doesn't happen for everybody. The numbers of those that succeed compared to the numbers of those that don't. It's the balancing scale, it's not even balanced at all. There are more people that don't succeed than those that actually succeed going through the education system of Nigeria, not going through the private schools and stuff. Now, the point is, let's be honest, Nigeria is a very old man. He's not going to listen to some 21-year-old person who's wearing a hoodie and jeans. You're definitely not going to listen to him when he's saying, oh, I'm reading code that can help you disrupt learning, that can help you build more capacity for learning. They're not going to listen. Rather than say, oh, okay, yeah, good idea, push it. You can start it on your own, and then in 3 years you can come and meet us. And like we all know, most companies, they don't last 5 years. So you're saying, oh, go 3 years to come back. When from that moment you have picked the disruption, the idea, and built on it, and built a mega education system, and just from one idea. So honestly, our policymakers need to be more open to disruption. I'm not saying every single person that is going to come and say, oh, I have an idea, or I think this is a good practice, would actually work. But there's no harm in listening and trying. After all, the trials, before you launch a business, you have to have a soft trial to be sure that you would actually gain traction. And Nigeria should be open to that. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of experimentation. After all, let me push a little bit into healthcare. In America, yeah, they say healthcare in America is very good. But I don't think it's very good because the government handles all the general hospitals. Let's be honest, most of them are privatized. It is a general hospital, but it's run by a private company. There is nothing wrong with that. It worked for America. It doesn't necessarily mean it will work for us, but there is nothing wrong with being open to trying it. After all, trial by error. You try. At the end of the day, you would get something right. Then also, I would look at engagement. They should have a lot of sitting, they should have a lot of talking to the students, talking to them to be sure. In Nigeria, we're not very good with internships. Now, the polytechnics are doing that, technical colleges. When you do your OIT or HND and you want to go, they do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Those that actually come out from the technical colleges, I see that from the people that we hire, they are way better than those that come out from the universities because it is more intensive, more hands-on. You have 1 year to go and learn in a private, in a company, a structured company. Then you come back and learn some more. There is nothing wrong with that because it seems to work. They come out so ready. You tell them, oh, prepare this for me. They're not asking you questions like, oh, what font should I use? How do I shoot it? Nobody's asking you that. So there's nothing wrong with trying new things. Nigeria is not very good at trying new things, you know that, but there's nothing wrong with it. After all, if we didn't try something new with our scholarship aggregator, we would not have gotten to the point where we are now.
All the success stories we have with all the CEOs we have on the panel today is a clear example of how technology has changed how we engage. Clearly, what people have realized is you need to find convergence, you need to find where the pools are to be able to then come up with solutions and interventions that we're celebrating today with all the people on the panel. Obviously, there's no way Max or Canada will come up with what they come up with without looking at where's the need, and again, how do we then make sure that we use technology to help to solve that. But even then, it is domiciled with pools of people. So that's the first thing. No longer are we talking at people, the world has so totally moved on that the individual experience counts for a key part of engagement. Engagement isn't about I'm putting out my views. Engagement is really about the interaction, and technology enables that also with anything else. The traditional channels didn't really encourage that, encourage the ability for feedback. Technology encourages that, and that's why we can get continuous improvement. You build on that which you already have to then improve the solution. So again, listening to Victor earlier on, it was interesting how he talked about his concept wasn't necessarily what he ended up putting out to the market. And I would encourage very many people to be open to that. Allow people to build what it is. You can have the initial concept, but if you allow that engagement, if you allow that input, what you find is what you end up with is actually what really solves the need. It's what actually then goes sometimes beyond your imagination. So in terms of whatever engagement strategy is, it's critical to make sure you allow for two-way communication within that engagement strategy. And sorry, I can't say this enough, I'm just calling the data. Data must speak to You must be one of those people who sees in binary. Sometimes when you see, when you close your eyes, you can see dots behind your eyes, and it's the light of aim. Well, data has to do that for you. Because once you're fully engaged with data and it's doing that for you, it's like waving your magic wand, you need to connect the dots and you find solutions where you don't think you find them. So following the data, making sure that your safety data, really learning from it, to then better even refine the way you engage with whether your customers, your prospective customers, or even just communities you build, I think is a critical way of ensuring that technology serves you, not the other way around. I want to just end on a final note. Technology is not for technology's sake, and I think we all need to be very wary of that. There can never be a surfeit of technology, but let's always have in the back of our mind that it must be because there is a purpose that we wish to solve. I don't think you stop going into solutions. I think you set out intentionally to solve things, but if you leave yourself with sufficient room and flexibility, I think sometimes it also comes to you through the engagement you have with various communities and spheres of influence. I don't know if that speaks to your questions specifically, but I really wanted to set that note of caution around technology, not just for the sake of technology. So thank you.
Thank you, Carl. I like the fact that you're talking about using data to actually design a solution. And I'm going to ask Edward, because I know that in the Nigerian context, we like to do something that we look at when it's happening out there and we want to just bring it, copy and paste, right? So with some of the information that we have on data, what are the sort of interventions that you see in the global international space that you think can be done in the Nigerian context in the area?
Thank you very much. So in terms of initiatives we put in place to help customers succeed better, we rely a lot on data, and as much as we are a fintech company, I mean, when we started, the idea was to use tech, to fire through all the investment processes and, just like they do in America and stuff. But then we realized quickly that, one of the reasons why we are more attractive to customers, or one of the reasons why we are able to pull people from banks is because of our customer experience. It's because of our empathy. It's because of, the kind of feeling we communicate to them. For instance, customers can buzz us at 3 a.m., for us to solve their problem. This is a different experience from what they are used to, where, traditional institutions where they open a support ticket and then they send them an email that your issue will be resolved in 3 days, So changing the dynamic of how millennials consume services is that empathy bit. These are people, so they're not just data. And we realize that the more we give them this airtime, the more they tend to come back. And the more we reduce the amount of money spending to reduce churn. Because by default, they become our friends. They are no longer our customers. They're no longer someone that you tell, oh, your ticket has been taken and your ticket is being looked to. Most of the times, as a CTO, I get to talk to customers, irrespective of what I'm doing. And for some of the times, my CEO will have to call the customer. Now, you could say that this is peculiar, because of our size at this stage, but then it's something we are trying to build into our fabric, such that as we grow, we scale, customer success, we scale customer experience. Because right now, our customer experience is the biggest of the company. What makes people come back? Now, if I look at FirstBank today, and one of the things I would say, is attractive in FirstBank today is the treasure trove of data FirstBank is setting up. Like if I was to pick something out of FirstBank and run away, it should be data they're sitting on. I would like to see, and not just my transactional data. I would like to see a FirstBank try to put the pieces together. Now, the truth is, if FirstBank is not going to do it, eventually we are going to gather enough data to do it. It's because of the social graph. They know you, they know your friends that you went to school together. As a result, they could say, oh, you might know this person, and then you become friends. And that's what makes Facebook so valuable today. What would make FirstBank so valuable in the next decade? To see a day where FirstBank is going to call me that, oh, yeah, you've been our customer for a while. How is your father? He retired from our bank. I mean, I don't have to tell them.
No. So I'll start from table.
Okay, so for the video class, what I would also ask, there are a few things that came up during the conversation that just like so for me, the real reason why I'm doing this is I had a plan. So I had a very good track through medical school. I got into medical school at 15, finished at 21 plus. My plan was to become a neonatal surgeon. So what a neonatal surgeon does is they operate on babies from 6 months in pregnancy, the first 28 days of life. If you know this, Dr. who is a US-based neonatal surgeon, was recently operated on a baby, brought baby out of the mother's womb, put the baby back, and so the baby was reversed. That's what I wanted to do. I moved back to Nigeria. I started chasing this goal. Everyone that I met said, I did this Nigeria. Where's the facility? Who's going to teach you? All the people that know this thing are not in Nigeria, but they can't practice here. So that was a problem for me. I had to really drop my clinical career because what I was really passionate about was something I couldn't achieve in the country. And I'm also kind of exposed by Nigeria where I honestly cannot live in another country. I feel too much prejudice. And I'm also kind of into chaos. So my life is really about living in Nigeria. The chaos in Dubai is not enough. The one in the UK is not enough. I've been there. And I'm back here and I'm trying to see how to channel that chaos into my own happiness, but also trying to solve that problem for other doctors who might have wanted to or might have intentions to, study or specialize in neonatal surgery or other clinical specialties that we can't do here because of lack of infrastructure or lack of talent to teach them. So that's the motivation.
Thank you.
Now that you told us that we can't do the emotional, the social impact, what are we supposed to do? Like for me, honestly, initially it was about the money. I am sorry. I am Nigerian, I am a woman. Sorry, it was about the money. I saw the potential in this company that had started before I joined them. They were about a year old. It was like, okay, 2 guys bootstrapping, fighting. Group there were 3 actually, yes, at least it was one of the tech guys. So it was like a lot of working hard. And then they bring me in, of course, I was just to start as an analyst, just come and help them shape the company. And then I just looked at all of them, I'm sorry, but a little bit of pity. As this is here, so he knows. The others are not here. I was like, oh, sorry guys, I can help you push this. And yeah, initially it was about the money. And when I now saw the values, after a while, I realized that, if you don't do this, if you don't do your best, if you don't work as hard as you know you can, and achieve the success this company needs, honestly, then what are you doing? You can do it for 2 years and say, oh, after all, 3,000 students created scholarships for them, they went to school, now they're in school. But in actual fact, what happens to the remaining? According to statistics, that's if you believe statistics, over 10 million students are out of school in Nigeria. I'm sorry, if I can help 10% of them, why not? And have the feel good quality of coming up and talking about how I grew up, how education changed my life, and how what I'm doing as the potential to change lives. And that really wakes me up every day.
My own parents, first to Lagos, so I wanted to do the parents. I want first to Lagos, so even in night on was supporting somebody else. They were moved to my own parents, and because of one house in 2007, they used wood to call it to the new house. And all of us, when it was like going to school, it wasn't very pretty low school. And then we moved to Abuja, but that's my mom to school. And I was really good to the West Side. I was a plan. I used to come passed the West Side, passed the postures, because that's all we were for. Okay? And my grandfather was like, oh, there's this school, one like admission, and I wrote it and I passed it. And school fees, my father said school fees, my friend and so, but let's go to middle school. And so my grandfather insisted that I was going to LGC. And me, I was scared when I heard school fees. I mean, I'm the first child, and I'm the only son, so we kind of, most families in school, we shared me like I was a middle child. And I took the first child wanted it. And then the lack of gifts that the middle child wanted gets, because we was small. So I was very happy to get away from all of things. So the first year was hard to do students, right? I mean, I wish we had people like this out there. But we didn't. And so what effectively happened was, I think it was Uncle Dennis, I think she sell clothes, who helped issue the school fees and parents' fee, right? And then, 2 years ago, I actually, my sister and our family gets into it too. And the best way she gets in, she's home, right? So I think the school gave a partial scholarship and then she solutioned. And the school fees now times 4. I don't know what you guys do, but I know you don't really do. I mean, my father was also a commander in Echo Walk, so it was fighting wars like in Senate, Nigeria. And every time we go to my people, there's this panic war. She's coming back at night. So it was terrible, it was tough, right? And so for me, I learned the value of, I guess I thought it was cool, to be honest, right? And then I finished secondary school at 15, I went to Futo. And while I was Futo, I couldn't take it. I thought it was, I was the first class, I was really like 6 months, you walk, to everything else. Because I needed to go to class. You go to class and stand, why am I standing in class? It's not worth it. Right? And I got to the state and I learned that I was too young, I was sort of mine. So I got in, I got the partial scholarship. And I was sitting down for 6 months in the house of my father to try. I said, I should want to go inside this question. And so I said, I know what's right now. And then that entire process, looking back, a lot of us will come from the I know this was a book, the mass, the women, this was not like a person. Right? So the question for me was, a lot of the people who I have interacted with, big streets of Cali, see my ambition, next wish, all of those speakers, find one of my financial, or see my financial to the bank. And those one, all of us will scatter, because those one, so you don't have to work with anything. So by the time you scatter, you go home, you now be having water, drinking, take water to drink. You will know that you're outside because you move off to state. So some of those guys are not really good. So and the key reason for me I thought about it was a lot of these people have to know because they didn't necessarily have the best foundation. Right? Whether it be from national standpoint, from home standpoint, best foundation. And so I want to be able to create a business that is able to be foundational and transformational to people's lives. Right? So I was very interested in culture, healthcare, very interested in transportation, because that targets specific classes of people that normally won't have access to what we have. I mean, so I walk away from the law, right? But the key thing for me risk is the risk of not at the risk of so we value transparency, we value integrity, we value initiative, we value partnership. And all those values are not just about our staff members, we call them employee partners. They are also about our champions, for our general partners. Right? Because we want to make sure that as we continue to add value, people who work with us and continue to help grow, continue to add value, more importantly, to the drivers who call us their platform to work with. Right? And then third or fourth person that's big is the investors because we want to grow. And you know what's happening. So all I do is doing this because I want to change people's lives.
An experience where I realized today that my journey through life would have been different without some opportunities. And without going into those, those kind of detail, what motivates me is actually to enable people without access to have access to what they won't, typically be able to get. For instance, up to all my education has been through, just one tiny window of opportunity that if I hadn't gotten it, I wouldn't be able to proceed to the next level, or my path would have been totally different. So the motivation for me, generally is, to help people to be able to create that opportunity, that people won't typically be able to have access to in life.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all my panelists. I think that this has been an enlightening session. Just to recap, we've really talking about societal issues that we face every day. Also because we're in a very unique context called Nigeria, where everything just seems to be at a gridlock of options, so that nothing seems to be moving. And in your own little way, you are creating some level of impact. So I'll say big well to all of you. And I'm hoping that in the next few years, more improved interventions will create a desired impact, because I know that even our space time to things in financial services, you do so much, but you get very little impact because it just seems like the environment is not enabling. So I'll say thank you to all of you. We don't have a lot of time because I know you all have questions, but I'll take 2 questions if anyone in the audience has. And if you are directed to specific panelists, please name the panelists.
Good product, good service. So in the school of thought that Nigeria is a blessed country. So a story for another day. So looking at your product and the space you operate, I was with one of the traffic official boss sometime 2 months ago, and he was complaining that there will always be traffic in Lagos State because of the numbers of cars, bad road, and other factors. So, but I told him that I see a lot of possibility if you look at the Uber and the likes of Max and stuff like that. So, looking at trying new things, will you, like in future, go into a bus ride sharing service? Because if you look at 5 p.m., there will be a lot of people stranded, and they get home really very late. And the same thing in the morning, you see a lot of people trying to get to office very early, and no proper transportation. And if you combine the BRT, they make up 1% of the transport need in Nigeria. And you look at the yellow buses and the white one, they also do at least 30% of the transportation need in Nigeria. So a lot still need to be done, especially in Lagos State. Are you looking at going into that space? Also, it's still going to help people like us to at least get home early, because I found out if I get home early, I can still provide some free consultative service for the SME people within my area, offer my skills, my experience free for them. And sometime after 1 year, when the business is doing well, they can call me back to, reward me or give me more things to do for them. But I found out that this year, I've not been able to even do one thing because getting home late because of the congestion and leaving early also. Secondly, I'm also looking at a way of cutting my fueling cost. Now I use an SUV, so it costs me about 40,000 to fuel my car from Ajah to Lekki. So formerly it cost me 20,000, and I feel with the bus riding service, it's going to help me cut down my cost, and that extra funding I can use it to put in calorie-wise and have alternative source of income. So I would like to know what are you doing in this area to reduce the gap. Thank you.
I think it's a fantastic question. When we go to more services, I have to do it. The reality is with me, I don't think that's more relevant. Right? I think what the relevant question is, what are we going to do for it? The average person in Lagos spends anywhere from 4 to 6 hours in traffic. That's why I don't go somewhere around. I have an issue because I always talk to this. I don't know how to answer. Right? What are we going to do for it? You have to invite us to the world. Traffic in Lagos is not going away. Lagos is one of the worst cities in the world, no matter how hard the economy, because of how much time people spend in traffic. I mean, 6 hours a day, that's a quarter of your life. Sitting down, one hour, you know, people go to the you don't need that, you don't need that, right? That's it. Two, in terms of what causes this traffic, we have small roads. It's not just the roads that are, they're actually small. Like we have small roads, we have the 3-lane road that's really like 12.5 meter road, where you should have the 16. We have very small roads. Let the air is very small. So at 11 p.m. at night, people go to Ajah, there is traffic. There is never enough traffic on that. It is very bad. So we have small roads. But bigger roads are expensive. Right? Now we also have a lot of small people cars on the road. So you talk about Uber and Co. That doesn't necessarily solve the problem. The key is because people who have money will enjoy their car. Who bought cars will enjoy. They didn't buy a car. They're talking about is there traffic, that is all of it. Right? But the reality is that you have a lot of cars that has only one person sitting in it, where you have 4 people sitting in that car. Right? Or can you create a system that allows us to share this kind of cars and make it affordable, maybe not that problem?
Across all speakers, they talk about data. I'm very particular about data. So I'm taking some courses on data analytics and the rest. I'm very passionate about it. So I like to put it to you, and FirstBank as a whole, how you guys helping to on the skills for those that actually want to pursue a course of data analytics. Are you helping to improve their skills around advertising? Because I know that so many people don't know about data analytics. About my friends, they don't know about it. Someone to attend learn it, but they don't have a platform to learn. So I want to if you have a platform, probably your company that is pushing for that, since that's what it's actually in real time.
You can go to school, like I've said earlier, but you see, you have to actually go out of your way to learn this 21st century skill. There were no data scientists 10 years ago, so you had to do that. And I'm sure, did you pay for it or you paid for it, right? Are you working right now? You are, and that's why you could afford to pay for it. The remaining, according to, I will go to statistics again. I am very big on statistics. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, 23.1% of graduates are jobless. And it's not because they are not looking for work, it's because they don't have the right skill set, right? And that's why you have to go. And it's going to be working, like I said, I could afford it. The others can't afford it. Now, this is where we come in. We aside from training, we hold regular trainings for the team, and once in a while we do for outside people, and then we have people actually come in and facilitate. Then also, we're building
Skills Fund. That's the word for it. That's the name. And basically what Skills Fund will do, just come on the platform, you take a 5-minute skills assessment, and then it will pair you up with an average of 3 places where you can take the courses. These courses are between 3 to 6 months. Anyway, they never take that longer than that. Now, once you access the courses, you choose. It's your choice between these 3 courses, where you want to take them, how you want to take them. We pay for it. Yes, we pay for it. Now, this works for those that can actually afford it. You can, good, but you can afford the next leg, which is getting the internship to own your skills, right? Now, once they're done with the courses, then place them with jobs. Because at the end of the day, we want the money back so that we can help someone else. So I think you should talk to me later. But yeah, we have things like that. We have skills fund for that. Okay?
Very much for your time. I hope you learned 1 or 2 things from this session. Thank you.